Excuse me whilst I'm in this depressed state and stressed out, so I'm thinking about the current situation in the UK and how it's been misled into thinking a conservative far-right government reform is going to be the one to somehow get us out of this crappy situation. And apparently, according to some polls, I can't remember what it was, I think it was British electoral site, apparently there's an overwhelming majority of people who want reform to get in. If anyone unaware, reform advocates for removing disability rights, deporting immigrants, which by the way are crucial to the country, and also getting rid of other human rights eventually, not to mention funded by billionaires. There's all sorts of fucked up with this and all sorts of wrong. And we can't hope to have a good country if people are going to succumb to everything they see at face value. Everything they see on like GB News or something is gonna cause more harm to the country than good. Because it's not actual news reporting, it's not actual journalism. As are a lot of the news outlets anyway. But they seem to be far worse because they misrepresent things and spark outrage. Essentially scaremongering, or just rage-mongering, what I call it. It's gonna have a devastating impact on the UK, and it will destroy us. But there is one way to counteract this, and if you're smart and not a reform voter, the one way I've found, at least to my knowledge and just thinking, is to come together to decide on one person. But what I mean on that is if we can get as many people as possible who are not reform voters and not idiots to decide that we only need one party in power at this point, and all agree and spread the word that we should vote the same person in power, or same party, at least for Prime Minister, but for individual places I'm sure it doesn't matter, but still. It's important because we can turn the tides against this obviously racist, ableist, and no doubt homophobic eventually regime, which is no doubt going to turn into a dictatorship as well down the line, say following the steps of Trump and Putin. And probably North Korea at this point, knowing the Allied Safety Act. And what I really want to see happen is for not just us, the people, to get into conversations about deciding on the overall good of what one Prime Minister can do, is also so that we don't end up divided in that case, because let's be honest, who here was like a voting Liberal Democrat but moved to the Green side? I guarantee you a lot of people have. And that's what I'm talking about. Because we need less people taking their own preferences as a guide here, and more people taking the overall good with compromises. This way, as long as the compromises aren't as big as what Reform are doing, because no doubt any of them at this point wouldn't be even like Conservatives, for fuck's sake. But as long as we pick someone who can run the country properly and do things right by the people, we shouldn't have too many problems. Like, just honestly speaking. And we literally need to decide on a single person or single party, I say, well, there is a single person if it's Prime Minister, to rule the country and do things properly. And, I sort of have my eyes and ears lended to the likes of Zach Polanski and Jeremy Corbyn at the moment. I don't know enough about Corbyn, but I know a lot about Zach Polanski already. And all the things that he's pushing for to make the country great again. And there's not some like mega thing, make England great again. It's more to do with supporting people and making sure we're all getting the things we need, the rights, the money, and obviously taxing the wealth, which is arguably really important. Because none of these parties so far, other than obviously Green and I think Corbyn, they don't seem to be talking about taxing the wealth, and we do need to. I think that's a necessity at this point. It's just an idea, really. I think we do need to talk about this and agree on something. Because we can't let the world get away with this shit. Like if it's happened in America and they're seeing what they're doing, like we need to learn from that. Instead of just trying to blame someone. We literally need to be smarter about this, and if we can get the overwhelming majority of people to vote someone who's competent enough, like even for example this new party called Your Party, like that's going to be good. We actually need that. And we literally can't hesitate on this matter of fact. Because it will result in Reform winning. So we need less of us divided, like between the Dems, Labour, Green and other, and more to do with how we can come together to make those, at least one of these parties, bigger than the other. To overwhelm the majority of Reform voters. And also when it comes to like Parliament and stuff, the interesting thing with this is when Reform MPs get into Parliament, which no doubt they will anyway, even if we do win this, we can also call them out. Like, it's so easy to call them out when the majority of us has agreed to bring in someone who's either socialist or progressive. Who cares about the people at the bottom, really? That's what it's going to take, to be honest. Like, it's not that difficult. And again, I don't know if there's any flaws in this. It remains to be seen. Either way, I think the less divided we are, the more united we can be. And I call this like the true United for the Kingdom, because the other one is literally racist. I think this one has potential to be something completely different and actually be impactful for people, for all their concerns. And also when you spread the word as well, you make social media, you make discussion, you start spamming comment sections on like conservative reform stuff, like even like make a neutral, is it partisan? I can't remember. Make like a neutral sort of group or party or channel. They can discuss this. And it will get people's attention, no doubt. Especially if you start with something outrageous like things that's pretty much sparked the immigrant protests. And just address it in a fact-based neutral way. People will look at that, hopefully, and realise that, oh, okay, well, we thought the Reform Party was right, but no, it's not the case. Trying to think, I think that's really all I can say on this at this point. Again, it remains to be seen. It probably needs to be debated. But yeah, like if we want to avoid disaster, we need to unite. Like it's just so fucking obvious. We just need to unite at this point. And do everything we can to counteract the bullshit that's coming out of Reform. So, yeah, that's where we're at the moment. Thanks for listening. See you for another time.